Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, where we take you from burnout to bliss. I'm Ebony Clark.
And I'm Reginald Clark, and today we're talking about one of the most important investments you will ever make, your kids.
That's right. We're diving into kids and money, how to raise financially confident children who understand the value of a dollar. So today, we're giving money lessons every parent should teach.
We'll cover how to help your child start a business, ways to set them up financially, how to include them in family money talks, and the habits they'll need for life, plus the big one, paying for college.
So whether you're raising little ones, just learning about allowance, or teens prepping for life after high school, this episode will give you practical tools and real-life strategies.
So stick around, because it's never too early or too late to raise money-smart kids. Kids in Cash Elevate episode starts right now. All right, good people, we are so excited to be back with you yet again for another episode of Elevate from Burnout to Bliss. So today, as we mentioned in the introduction, this is Season 2, Episode 5 already.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Already Episode 5. And today we're going to be talking about kids and cash, money lessons every parent should teach. You know, when I think back, today it's just Ebony and I here in the studio, so we going to rock out with you, give you this good information about money as it relates to what you can do to start now, getting your kids prepared for a life full of good finances.
Right. And these lessons can be done in like micro lessons. You don't have to sit them down in front of at the dining room table and be like, look, lesson 1 is.
Right.
You're teaching them lessons as situations come up along the way.
You know what? That's a good point you just made, because one thing I want to share is some of my earliest memories of money lessons that I learned. And like you said, it was never a sit down, hey, let's talk about money. Now,
right.
I'm going to encourage that you do have some of these, hey, let's talk about money conversations in just a little bit. But my earliest memories did not come like that. Well, Ebony, before I share mine, what are some of your earliest memories as it relates to money?
Okay, so one of my earliest memories as it relates to money is a gift that I would get from my aunts. Okay. So for every...
Which one?
My Aunt Zena. Hey. So for every birthday and Christmas, she would get me a $50 savings bond.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, as a young child, it's a piece of paper. You're like, ooh, a piece of paper. But I kept those throughout my childhood and then cashed them in when I graduated from high school.
That's cool.
And then that was the money that I used to get some of the things for my dorm when I went to college.
Okay. Well, that was very progressive thinking for her, especially when at a time when not a lot of our people even knew about savings bonds and things of that nature. That's pretty cool. Shout out to Zena for that.
What about you? What was one of your earliest memories?
I got a couple of them. So mine definitely came, like I imagine everybody's, came from home. Two that come to mind right now. I can remember I was raised in the house with my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather, and I can remember every Friday, like it was clockwork. My granddaddy, when he made it home, I can remember him bringing a wad of cash to my grandmother. Okay. And she'd sit there and count it out, and she'd give him back like $20 for his.
That was his spending money for the week.
Yeah, that was his lunch money for the week, and she took care of all the bills and she took care of all that kind of stuff. And I just never forgot that scene. I can still see it in my head right now. She's sitting in her chair, and he just handed the money and walk on off. And I just never forgot that, man. And I think now it's one of the things that taught me about being a provider, because I saw him doing that. And that's one of the earliest ones. Now, one of the earliest ones I can remember from my mother is going through the line at the grocery store. And I can remember her writing in her checkbook, writing out a check, and then her flipping to the back and putting all those little numbers.
In the check register.
Yeah, in the check register. And I used to always wonder, like, what is she doing? And I remember she taught me, this is how you balance a checkbook. And that was so interesting to me, and it seemed so important. It seemed really important, man. I remember getting excited with her going to the bank or the credit union, wherever she was banking. And it always just seemed like it was such, so much business actually going on.
I remember going to the credit union. My mom worked for IBM, so IBM had an IBM credit union, and I remember going, and it did seem important. And then the tellers always seemed like extremely professional, and they were dressed nice, and the bankers had on suits, and it was like it felt important.
It did. To that point, that's a good place for us to dive in to what we want to talk about today. I want to talk about that real quick. I used to teach a class for the Rise Foundation. And this was a class for adults about financial literacy. And I remember one time the question was asked of the people in the class, how many people in here go to a bank versus, cashing checks at liquor stores and all this kind of stuff. And very few people had actually even been to a bank. And so when we dug deeper, said, well, what are some of the things that keep you from going to a bank? Some of them said it looked scary, felt scary. If they felt judged, they felt intimidated. And I believe that as parents, when you start to just by taking your child inside of a bank, and I know it's so much easier these days just to pull up and do your business or what have you, but taking them inside of the insurance company, taking them inside of the investment company, taking them to a real estate closing, taking them to anything that you're doing like that, you are actually giving them a life lesson, just by taking them.
That's true.
You may not even engage them in conversation about, hey, this is what's happening, but you have no idea. Just by taking them, that exposure is putting them in the right direction.
Because they get to see what people do there.
Yeah, and it removes some of the trepidation. You know what I'm saying? So it's not such a scary place. So that right there alone is probably the first thing I get. Just take your kids with you when you do business. Whatever the business may be.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, just take them along. So savings account. So one of the first things I want to say, parents, that you want to do for your child, you want to be sure that you get them their own savings account with their name on it. And teaching them. So early on, I would say one of the very first things my mother taught me was how to save money. Don't spend every dollar you get. Now, there are plenty of adults that still struggle with that, right? However, if you teach that, even if you haven't mastered that just yet, your child, especially if they're small, they don't realize that you screwing that up. So go ahead and, teach it to them.
Right.
But just teaching them, hey, if you get $1, you don't have to spend the entire $1.
Actually, don't spend. It's not that you don't have to. Don't.
Right. Don't do it. But some people are so, they act like they're allergic to having money. Like they got to spend it just because you have it. You don't have to spend it.
And obviously we understand there are situations where things cost more than what you have. We get that. But just as a general rule, don't let money burn a hole in your pocket, and teach your children the same thing. So there's been times where our girls have wanted something and they had money. And just because they have money doesn't mean that I'm going to let them purchase it.
Correct.
It needs to be a good purchase, and it needs to make sense, because I'm not going to let them blow their money.
Case in point, what's the thing one of the babies wanted to buy recently?
So not AirPods, but like the over-the-ear headphones by Apple. I don't know what they're even called.
Well, we just killed our chance of ever getting sponsored by Apple, but regardless.
But they're similar to Beats, but Apple brand.
Yeah, like she wanted to spend all this money on that. And to us, see, here's the thing. It really don't matter what you spend on something as long as the value is there.
Right. For
the amount of money you're giving in exchange for it. So in my mind, the value wasn't there. I spend sometimes a lot of money on something that I perceive has a lot of value. And if it don't have a lot of value, I'm not spending money on it. It don't make sense to me. So now in her eyes, maybe it did, but at this point, her eyes don't 100% matter because she's still a minor. So, but yeah, so as Ebony said, just because your child has the money, still we want to teach them not to spend all of it. But anyway, with the savings, you were about to say.
I was just going to say, so what are some accounts that they can use to save money?
Well, again, the first one should be the savings account. And, have them to deposit money from their birthday or holiday money. Encourage the family instead of giving, all these gifts that get broken in the next 15 minutes. Make monetary contributions, And then once they get a significant amount of savings, then let's go to the next step, the next part of the evolution, and let's open up a brokerage account. All right?
Yeah. And
this is where we start teaching them about investing. Children can have, I've mentioned I think back in the first season, children can have what's called a custodial brokerage account. I don't want to go all into the weeds on that right now. I did that before. But just know that your child should have a savings account and a brokerage account. The brokerage account, this is where they're going to be introduced to purchasing stocks mutual funds, and other long-term investments like that.
So actually, when I was little, again, I know I've told y'all 18 times my mom worked for IBM, but IBM was a big part of my childhood because they had a huge corporate family culture.
Okay.
But because my mom was with IBM, she got the opportunity to purchase stock through the employee stock purchase plan. And she could also purchase stock for me. So I remember being a child and actually having stock certificates. Like, they were actual stock certificates at that time. And I had IBM stock. I didn't really know what it meant. Right. Especially to the degree that I do now. But I did actually own stock as a child, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool. Now, you can fact check me on this. Y'all can, anyone you know my mother can ask her about what I'm about to share. Now, I didn't own stock as a child. Didn't know a lot about. Didn't know anything about it actually. But she told me that whenever the news in the evening time would run the stock report on the TV screen, even I was little, and those numbers be going across the bottom of the screen, she said I would stop what I was doing and just stare at the screen.
Oh wow! That's
even
cool.
Even as a child, she said I would just stare till it was gone, then I go back to playing or whatever it was I was doing.
So as I know, sometimes children will let you know really, really early what their interests are.
I guess that's true.
And if you just watch, they may not know how to express it, but just watch and see what they gravitate toward.
Yeah, and so let's move on. So again, at this stage of the game, and it doesn't matter how old your kids are right now, but if you haven't, one of the earliest things you want to do, we're talking about now at the beginning, you're just building good financial habits, teaching them how to save, what percentage to save and all that thing. But then after you gravitate past that, especially when you get teenagers that start to work, one of the best things you can do for them, if you got a teenager that's working, go ahead and open up for them a Roth IRA in their teens. In their teens. Guys, I mean, we could play with the numbers all day. I could tell you the numbers. What I would tell you is that child will have, just by meager amounts of money, not even a whole lot of money, just being consistent with it. By the time they get to my age, early 50s, by the time they get there, man, it'll look complete. And you talk about a tax-free account, it'll look completely different than what most of us have had. So, again, if they are working, because you're only supposed to put earned income into an IRA, if they're working, I highly recommend that you start a Roth IRA for your child. It'll have to be a custodial Roth from the beginning because they can't technically sign it themselves just yet because they're still minors. But at the point they reach the age of majority, your name will come off as custodian, and then the account will just continue on.
Man.
And you're talking about decades of compound interest.
And if you're teaching them the importance of it, they will leave it alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Let me say this. Most people have retirement accounts that have compounded for about 2 decades. Because most people, quite frankly, get serious around the age of 40. So you got 40 to 50, 50 to 60, and then they taper off somewhere in there. So you're talking about 2.5 decades of compounding at best for most people. I'm talking about for most people. For a teen, you're talking about 4 decades of compound interest.
Wow.
Man, deep 7 figures. Easy. So you owe it to yourself and to your team to help put that in place.
That sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it is.
So let's talk about a few other things. We're still talking about introducing your children to financial matters early on. I want to talk about insurance. Okay. Because a lot of times what a teenager, how they become aware of insurance is when their parents say, I can't put you on my insurance because it would cost too much. Right. But what are some healthy ways to communicate to children what insurance does and how helpful it can be? You
just had a conversation about all the what ifs and the fact that there are companies that transfer. So let's make it simple. So hey, Timmy, life is full of what ifs. So we pay this thing called insurance. So in the case that we have a car wreck, or if a tree falls on the house, or if whatever happens, this company will have to pay as opposed to us coming out of our pocket. That's all the what ifs of life. The vast majority of what ifs in this life can be outsourced to an insurance company.
Right. Really quick story. So our oldest daughter hit a tire tread from a 18-wheeler on the interstate. She pulls over. She calls me. She's freaking out, like almost inconsolable. And I asked her one question: do you have full coverage insurance?
Do you have insurance? That's it.
She said yes. I said, okay, calm down. They will come out, tow the car if it needs to tow. They will fix it, and it will look exactly like it did 5 minutes ago before you hit the tread.
That's right.
And she calmed down and got it fixed.
The what ifs of life. That's it. That's it. One more thing I want to try to get in real quick before the break, and that is, it's time to normalize having money conversations with your children. Now, earlier in this segment, we said you don't necessarily have to sit down and, classroom style, get a whiteboard and do all that. However, having family meetings where you talk about in terms that they can understand, where you talk about the bills and you talk about the family savings and you talk about the upcoming plan. Like, you all planning a vacation together, but do you all ever talk about the financial part, or is that just mommy and daddy's conversation?
Right.
No, start including them in that so they can get a sense of how much a dollar is actually worth. A lot of kids don't even find out what a dollar's worth or what it can actually buy until the first time you say, no, that, and typically it's a negative situation because you say, no, that costs too much.
Right.
Which that's definitely the wrong way to teach kids about money. It's about always telling them what they can't do because of money. That's a different conversation for a different time, but that's not the way to do it.
That is not the way.
But yeah, just you want to. By the time they get to middle school, Jay should be helping out with the family budget. By the time they're in high school, you showing them more complex things like the mortgage, the rent. The differences between owning versus renting.
And what equity is.
What equity is, that's right. So let the conversations grow as they grow, but include them in it. Because at some point, the idea is that they're going to be doing it themselves one day, real soon.
And it's not a switch at 18 and you automatically know what to do. You have to be taught what to do.
Absolutely. You most certainly do. Well, I tell you what, this first segment has really snuck up on us very quickly. Make sure y'all stick with us through the break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some other things you need to be teaching your kids right now. Because today we're talking about kids and cash, money lessons that every parent must teach. All right, stay with us, y'all. It's time to elevate.
Today's episode is sponsored by P3 Financial Group, where we enrich the lives of our clients by helping them plan, protect, and prosper. Call P3 for all your tax and financial planning needs at 901-209-4015. That's 901-209-4015.
And we're back. This is the Elevate Podcast from Burnout to Bliss. This is Ebony and Reginald Clark, and today we are talking about kids and cash, money lessons every parent should teach. So I want to start this segment with the allowance debate. Should you give your kids allowance or not?
Well, that you asking me?
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, every parent got to make up their own mind. Obviously, I did not get an allowance. Or if I did, it may last for about a week. I didn't get an allowance, and we don't give our kids an allowance. I'm just of that mindset that people don't value what they don't work for. It's just the mindset I have. So I think parents give their kids too much in terms of money and stuff. And I just believe that as early as possible, you have to teach kids that, especially if it's something they really want, that you have to exchange, you got to give something in exchange for that. Like, I can't stand those fundraisers where basically they're not doing anything. They just asking for money. Those bother me. They do. They bother me to my core, man. I remember toting them big buckets of popcorn up and down our neighborhood.
Car washes.
Yeah, all that, man. So that really irks me. So, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to let you get back to it. I know you didn't ask for all that. So I'm on the side of no.
Okay.
No, make them work. There's something they can be doing. I got one more thing I want to say about that. I hear parents all the time saying, well, I want to be sure my kids, get the things I didn't have. I want them to have what I didn't have. I get that, and I'm with that. I believe in that. But sometimes, in parents' effort to give kids everything they didn't have, they forget to include some of the things they did have, i.e. the struggle, which produced the things that they now have.
Right.
So when you remove the struggle away from the kids, y'all, you're taking something from them that's part of their development. That's just my opinion.
I agree. We don't give our kids allowance. Now, obviously, our kids get things. And sometimes there is a direct exchange for some work that they've done. We we incorporate the kids in the life. So if something getting done around the house, everybody is doing it. Like, we'll go chop wood.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me tell you, not just if we got to go down to one of our rental properties, they in the flower bed, we got to come up to the office, they painting, they doing whatever got to get done.
So Reggie and I aren't doing work and they sitting in the house chilling. That's not going to happen. No. And then sometimes there are things that because they do well in school and we really don't have any problems with them, sometimes we just give them things. So they do get things even though they don't have a set allowance. But what we've tried to do is teach them the work ethic that goes along with getting things, because at some point they will be adults and there's not going to be anyone that can give them anything. Right. So if they don't develop the work ethic that it takes to get things, acquire things now, when are they going to get it?
That's exactly right. You know, something you said, and I think the way you put it was no one's going to give them anything. I remember I spoke to a group of students at Lemoyne-on, and the moderator, she asked me to Lemoyne-on College, for those who don't know. The moderator asked me, she said, if there was only one last piece of advice you could give these college students, what would it be? And I simply said, I want y'all to remember this. The world doesn't owe you, no one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. And so we got to, again, the world's not going to give your child nothing. You love your child. If they lucky, they'll find one or two people in life that love them also, but that's it. All right? The world's not going to give them something, so there's no need of you starting that downward thinking that someone's going to just give me something.
And you got to teach them to be appreciative, too, because even as parents, we're obligated to provide basic needs.
Right.
Beyond that, there is no obligation. So if they have wants, that is because you were gracious and kind and loving enough to do it. So they need to know that that's not a guarantee as well.
Well, let's talk about that. So we talk about needs versus wants. So my thing is when they're old enough and it's age appropriate, that they should be encouraged to work and save for their wants. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give y'all an example. So we have a 16-year-old now who, of course, ready to drive. She wants to drive. She knows what car she wants and all that good stuff. And I'm doing with her the same thing my mother did with me. My mother told me, look, you go say, because it was a car I wanted. I used to ask her to take me by there to see it all the time. She said, okay, this is how much I'll give you, her and my grandmother. We'll give you this amount. Mm-hmm. But you have to come up with this other amount if you want to purchase this car. Mm-hmm. Y'all, I cut grass. I washed dishes at Lane College cafeteria. I collected bottles. I raked leaves. I did everything I could till I hustled up on that money. And this is back what? This is 92 minimum wage. I think $3.85 an hour, something like that. Mm-hmm. Man, look, I went out there and got it.
Wow.
I went out there and got it, man. And I went traded for the world. So I could easily buy my daughter a car right now. I'm not doing it. She needs the motivation. If she wants it, she's going to have to show that she wants it.
And it's important that you can employ your kids to do things around the house, or if you own a business, to work in the business. But it's also important that they know how to earn money from people outside of the family.
Absolutely.
So sometimes when we have a requirement for them, like they each had a school trip, out-of-town school trip, that was more than average price. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. So we required them to earn half of what it costs to go on the school trip.
Yep.
One of them made candles, the other one made cookies. And one of the stipulations was that they could not ask anyone inside the family for money.
Right.
For that, you have to know how to go out there and get it.
Right.
You just have to.
And this opens up another conversation. This actually needs to be taught, especially to kids going to college. Please understand, because you get that college degree, the world don't owe you a job. Mm-hmm. Colleges are in the business of selling degrees. They are not in the business of finding you jobs. All right. And because you got the degree again, doesn't mean the world is going to open up. Oh wow, you have a degree. Let me give you 6 figures. That is not how that works. And that's a different topic. But I definitely want to. We're going to hit that one day because there's a whole lot I can say about that. But just remember, colleges sell degrees. They don't get you jobs. What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to add. So I know it may seem like we're kind of fussing about don't do this with your kids.
I'm not fussing, but it's a touchy point.
But all of these things can be through the lens of something positive.
Yes.
So it's not. I'm
absolutely.
not giving you this. You need to work for it. It's if this is something you want, is it valuable enough?
Right.
And what they'll do, they'll start deciding Like another example, we have little kids or younger kids, so we have a lot of examples. One of our daughters was interested in cheering until she found out how much it cost.
Right.
It wasn't the fact that we didn't have the money. It was that she decided that the value did not match the reward on her own.
On her own.
So if you're teaching these things, they will start to develop their monetary value system on what they deem important and what they deem not important.
And they pick up those from the parents, quite frankly.
They do.
So one of the things you can do, guys, is start teaching them the 3-jar method very early on. And that's where you take 3 jars and you will label one, okay, you can spend from this jar. The other one is the one for saving. And then there's one for giving. I think it's vitally important at an early age to teach your children to give.
Yes.
To be givers. To be, let me say it differently, to be responsible givers.
Responsible givers.
Not giving away everything they get their hands on and not trying to buy friends. I'm not talking about that. That's you know, you got to nip that in the bud. But what I am talking about is have a charitable mindset, because a closed fist can't receive any more money. So you have to teach them early. No, if you want to receive, then you must first give.
You do.
All right? That's how it works. So that may come in the forms of tithes and offering if you belong to a church, or it may come in the form of some charitable organization they feel strongly about. My family has a strong affiliation with things like Saving the Planet, Clean Oceans, and things like that. We watch a lot of documentaries on that. So, you know, we try to direct some money that way. So whatever, St. Jude, whatever it is that you feel strongly about, have your kids to get involved with that philanthropic giving. And you'll reap some rewards from that. You
will, and it help them understand that they are connected to the community.
Correct.
We're down here to do this thing together. Like, people are in different walks of life, but it's our job to support our community.
Right. Now I'm gonna tell you something else. I want to talk about something else too, and that's very important. Teaching your kids how to cost shop, how to compare things, but also teaching them, how can I put this? Teaching them about brand awareness. The fact that sometimes you buy something for the durability of it, and you may pay X amount. But other times, you're just buying that brand. So you really have to ask yourself, and I'm not going to call any brands out, but you really have to ask yourself, is it worth me paying, an extra $100 premium to say I'm wearing...
Fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank, right? And also... this is what I preach this. Keep in mind, when you buy that brand, you're making that person, their family, their kids, whoever they're connected to, more wealthy. Just to put that name on there, on you rather. To put their name on you, you're giving them more wealth. Just for the fun of it. Teach that to your kids. Now, again, not saying they can't, you may decide that, hey, it's worth it. Hey, so be it. But as long as it's an informed, it's an
actual decision.
Yes, it's an intelligent decision, and you're not just doing it just because you feel like you got to be or they have to be in this particular brand.
And there are always going to be things that are particular to you, that you are, there are things that you like, and there are things that you spend on that other people may not.
Right. That's true.
Everybody has that. For some, it may be technology. For some, it may be shoes, purses, clothes, traveling. And that's fine.
For me, it's watches. I love watches.
For me, it's traveling.
Traveling, too, for me.
Perfectly fine, but that's a decision that you're making. Right. And it's because it's important to you, not because of how you want to be seen by others.
Exactly. And so kids also, of course, like we just mentioned, they're going to pick up their money lessons from the parents mostly. So you have to be intentional about modeling in front of them the behavior you want to see them emulate. So they're watching you as you handle your cash. They're watching if you swiping and it's getting declined at the register. That's teaching them something. So you want to be careful how you're doing those things.
I agree. And then many lessons, like when we go on vacation, we give the girls a set amount of money. That is their spending money. That is their souvenir money. And we started that with our oldest child because they will put a different value system on it when it's theirs. And we say, whatever you come home with, you do. So we learned that if I just give you the money, then that's going to cut down on, can I have this $15 drink? Can I have this $25 souvenir? Because at that particular time, you have a limited amount. So they reevaluate, do I really want it? Which they don't do that when it's mommy and daddy's money.
Right, that's exactly right.
So if you're not doing that, that works wonders.
Yeah. Here's another idea for you guys. You may want to come up with something like a family budget challenge. And that's where you're going to get the whole family to plan out a dinner for under X amount of dollars. Like, okay,
I like that.
Yeah, to get the kids to plan out, hey, guys, like it's 4 of us in our immediate house. So y'all pick a place, all 4 of us can go and have a nice meal for a total of, say, $45 or less. You know, and that's where they got to think. They got to strategize. They have to figure it out. And like, it's too much, you know, or what have you. But again, you're normalizing for them making decisions based on this or that, depending on the cost.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Another challenge you can do with your kids is the money matching challenge.
Okay, tell me about that one.
For 1 month, you have them put into a jar any money that they earn from chores. They maybe mow the lawn, help around the house, odd jobs. Any money they earn, have them put it into a jar. The last day of the month, have them count it. Whatever it is, you as a parent match it. So they've learned 2 things. 1, they've doubled their earnings, and 2, it's a quick lesson in investing.
Not to mention work.
Hard work. It incentivizes them to work. They put it away, and now they have double.
I like that. I
like that one a lot.
Now, you know what? We may incorporate that to help, you know, Ryan get going a little faster on her car venture.
Yeah.
I like that idea. So, guys, it's plenty of things that you can do as a parent to help steer your kids in the right way early on. And remember, these lessons that you're teaching right now, for good or for bad, they're helping to shape this person's financial life for a long time to come. So, why not be more intentional about it being good financial habits early on?
And positive financial habits.
Absolutely, positive financial habits.
One more challenge I just thought about.
Okay.
The no spend weekend challenge.
No spend weekend.
So weekends are typically when you let your hair down. You may go take the kids to urban air. Y'all may go to the movies, go out to eat. But how about a whole weekend where you all plan things to do, but everything that you do, none of it requires spending money.
I definitely like that.
So it's going to help your kids learn that fun doesn't have to cost a thing. If they plan, you can have fun and have a money-free weekend. It can be things like a game night, treasure hunt, outside, going to the park. None of those things cost money.
One of my favorite places in the city of Memphis to go to is Shelby Farms.
I love Shelby Farms.
That's a great getaway. There's a lot of stuff out there, too. It doesn't cost a thing.
And if you love Shelby Farms, how about become a friend of the park?
Friend of the park. There you go. Guys, look, so when we come back, that will be in our final segment. I want to let them know what we're going to talk about. When we get back, we're going to talk about paying for college, some things you could be doing now to help them pay for college, things they could be doing to help themselves pay for college. I think they appreciate it more. And also helping them to start a business. It's not too early. So, guys, stay with us for this final segment of Elevate from Burnout to Bliss. We'll be right back after these messages.
Today's episode is sponsored by P3 Financial Group, where we enrich the lives of our clients by helping them plan, protect, and prosper. Call P3 for all your tax and financial planning needs at 901-209-4015. That's 901-209-4015.
And we are back for this last segment of Kids and Cash from Elevate Burnout to Bliss episode. I'm Reginald Clark, and Ebony's in the studio with me. So, yes, for this last segment, we want to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about paying for college, and we're also going to talk about starting business for the kids, for how the kids can start a business. One of the first things I want to hit as it relates to paying for college is the importance of starting early. Yes. Whatever it is you're going to do, whatever type of accounts I give you advice on, it's going to make all the difference in the world depending on how much time you have left relative to them going off to school, all right? So the first one that I want to mention, most of you have probably heard of this before, it's a 529 college savings plan. Now, I would say this real quick, because I'm moving slightly faster than I want to, because there's some more stuff I want to be sure we don't run out of time for. With the 529, it does have pros and cons. The main pro of the 529 is that the interest and the earnings that's inside the account are not taxable, as long as the money is used for college. And that's defined as tuition, books, and dorm. All right?
Can I add?
Yes.
So it actually can be used for secondary education as well now.
Yes, I was going there.
Okay.
It absolutely can. If the money's used for something else, then it's going to be treated more like a retirement account. Also, keep in mind that you can take out of the account an equal amount to if they get a full ride. For instance, they got a full ride, you can take out that amount of the 529 plan and still not pay taxes. So that's the pros. The con is it is a college plan. That's what it's for. Now, one other thing you can do, you can also, let's say the first child went off to school, got a full ride, you can switch the beneficiary over to the next child. But at some point, it has to be used for college or it will be taxed, okay, taxed and penalized. So 529, one of the best, is really the best account that's strictly for college. You got Coverdale accounts and things like that, but I still favor the 529 even over that right there.
And when we were talking about starting early, once you set up a 529 plan for your child, other people can contribute.
Yes.
So encourage your family
Absolutely.
to help you save for your kids' college education. So especially when they're young and you get them a toy that they're not even going to play with, encourage them to put money into the 529 plan in lieu of a toy or in addition to a toy.
Yeah.
And it can just be a family saving type thing.
Speaking of family, let's get the child involved. It's their college education. Let's get them involved. Let's give them some responsibility in this deal right now. All right. So, again, as they get to their teenage years, they start making money. Get them to contribute a little bit to the college plan. Let them take some ownership there. All right. They're going to appreciate it more. Do the savings matching challenge that you talked about.
Right.
You know, let's get other family members. Hey, Johnny saved, $200 this month or this year toward his college plan. Can I get some family members to match them? Boom, we dump it all in there.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, but let's get the kids to take ownership in their own education.
And review with them how much college costs, how much the dorms cost, and in comparison to how much daily living costs. So just telling them tuition is $50,000 a year for ABC school means nothing unless you put it into context with how much you spend on other things that they do know about. Right.
And show them, I would say this too, and if you don't know how to do this, this is something you can do very easily with a financial calculator. Put it in Google or chat. Just put in, hey, if we finance this college education using a student loan, let me show you how much you're going to really end up paying back.
Right.
All right. And once you start looking at that, then you start to see it's best we do this on the front end. I'm not saying don't do loans. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying let's treat that as a break glass in case of emergency type situation.
And let's do some joint decision making with your children. So weigh what they want to do, what schools they're interested in, and see if you get a good return on investment. So if it's a prestige thing, but what they want to do for a living doesn't require a specialized degree from a specific school, then let's look at whether the cost of that degree is worth it.
Right. I got to be a little more emphatic on that point. So I got to make sure people understand what you're saying. I know a lot of people are committed. Their child is going to go to blank university or blank college. Like, they ain't paying for nothing else. Hey, I went there. My grandmama went there. Your granddad, everybody went there, right? And usually when people feel that strongly about it, we're not talking about state school. Normally.
Right.
All right, normally we're not. So if that's your thought process, you're going to pay this premium to go to the school where the entire family went, but your child is pursuing a degree that does not require either the prestige or really don't require the cost of what it's going to cost to go there, then we may have to dial the emotion back a little bit and just look at it using X's and O's. You know what I'm saying? Here's a good rule of thumb. Ideally, you don't want to pay more for a college degree than what that student can reasonably expect to earn in their first year of employment doing that using that degree on a full-time basis. All right, so if I can get out of school in my first year I'm going to be making $80,000, reasonably expect this degree that can bring me $80,000 in the marketplace, then I really shouldn't be spending more than $80,000 for the entire degree. All right, that's just a good rule of thumb.
That's a very good rule of thumb. So with that, it may require some planning. Obviously, we know tuition costs are on the rise and are crazy high compared to what it was when we were in college. So in addition to weighing those options, let's explore some scholarship opportunities that are outside of the traditional opportunities. So there are micro scholarships available everywhere that may require an essay here or a form filled out there. All of those things can help pay for college.
I tell you what's not there anymore, minority scholarships. That's over with. So then that's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. Anyway, I won't go into all of that, but just know you can't qualify for scholarships no more based on race. All right, so you got to find other sources. You got to find other sources.
And then normalize talking about what success looks like. Success isn't one road. It's multiple roads. So help your child identify what success looks like for them and make sure that you are planning out, helping them map out an educational plan that matches that.
Yep. Now, did we talk about trade schools?
We did not.
Okay. That's another thing, too. Let's not rule out trade schools as a path to success. Of course, we know not everybody's cut out to go to college. It really don't even matter if you cut out for it or not. I shouldn't even say that. Not everybody even wants to go.
Exactly.
Not everybody need to go, right? There's a lot of money, a lot of money to be made in the trades. And actually that's growing very rapidly. Very rapidly. I did a post not too long ago about just the kind of money plumbers are making right now. So let's, like Eb said, let's leave that as an open line of success when we're talking about what are the next steps going to look like. Okay. One more thing I want to say before we get off of this and we move on to something else.
Okay.
And that is helping your child decide what degree to pursue. Did you hit that?
No, we didn't hit that.
Okay. Helping them decide what degree to pursue. You got to understand, getting a degree is an investment. Okay. It's an investment. It's a sense of accomplishment. It's the time the family come and, you got the big send off and the dinner and all that. But at the end of the day, it's an investment. So what you pay for that investment, you got to get a return. You need to be seeking, what return am I going to get on this investment? And that's why I tell people, choose your major wisely.
Yes.
I see people choose majors and colleges, but specifically majors, that do not have a good return on investment. All right, you majoring in underwater basket weaving or something, and then you expect to go out and earn $150,000 a year. It's not going to happen. All right. Look in the marketplace and see what degrees are yielding the best return. All right. Now, so you can't always. So here's the thing. Well, I want to follow my passion. That's cool, but at the same time, your passion need to give you a return on your investment. All right. So go ahead.
So you should be passionate about something, and your passion can give you a return on investment, or you can have a career that can fund your passion and still have your passion project.
There you go.
But it is prudent to make sure that whatever you want to do in life lines up with the type of lifestyle that you want to lead, because it's no one else's responsibility to supplement your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So if you know you like to live a certain way, you need to make sure that the career that you choose and the degree that you choose can yield that lifestyle.
Exactly, man. You got to understand, some walks of life are more of a calling than they are monetary yielding.
And even with that, say it's a calling, we know that there are professions like teachers and police officers. They don't make nearly as much money as they should. And that is definitely a calling. You have to be called and have the heart to do that. So part of what we talk about in this podcast is helping people have other sources of income so that they can still live how they want to live and be able to experience everything they want to experience while also being in their calling, in their call field.
That's right. Good stuff. Let's flip the conversation up for the minutes that we have left. And we want to talk about now helping your child start a business. Okay. If it's something that, something that they want to do or something you're kind of encouraging them to do, I would say this is where it's an advantage in talking to kids about business ownership. And you know what that advantage is?
What's that?
Imagination. Children have not, most of them have not yet had their imagination beat out of them by life. Yeah. They still dream, they think everything is possible. They still swinging for the fence every time they go up to bat. Mm-hmm. Over time, life got a way of just sucking that up out of us, and we start saying what can't be done. Most kids are still saying, no, this can be done, okay? So use that imagination. Let it run wild. Let that child imagination run wild when you start talking about. And see, they are being beat with what other kids buying.
Exactly.
And what parents are buying for their kids, and then help them identify. You know what? If you were selling blank to your kid, to your friends or to your friends' friends, what is something that would sell real quickly? Or what can you make that would sell real quickly? You know, just help them use that imagination, that curiosity to see what may be out there.
And it's never too early to start. So help them come up with age-appropriate business ideas. So if they're young, that can be a lemonade stand, bake sale, crafts that they've made. If they're in their tweens or teens, it may be lawn service or babysitting, tutoring. They can resell some of the 18,000 outfits that they have, or even YouTube or TikTok content. And then, of course, don't forget about digital opportunities, online opportunities, selling things through Etsy, ebooks, art. It's so many different avenues.
It is. One of the things that our girls are doing, we're encouraging them to do. We're trying to let them do it without us having to jump in and do it, and that is actually starting their own non-profit organization. You know, so you can encourage kids to help them to identify problems that they care about, and then starting something to solve their problem. That's all a nonprofit is. A nonprofit is simply an organization, an entity that has identified a problem. They're working to solve the problem, and the revenue from the profits from that entity do not flow back into individual people's pockets. It goes back to the organization. So the girls, they're passionate about children, regardless of their economic status, having equal access to sports. So it's called SAFE. Yeah. So
sports access for everyone.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully that'll be something that's coming soon. But help your child solve a problem. And you know how good that'll look on a college application? Man. That they have their own, a for real nonprofit, not just some stuff they put down.
Not something on paper,
Yeah, like a for real deal. Yeah, that goes a long way.
And then think about what your role is as a parent. You're not doing it for them, then it would be your business.
Right.
So they have to do it, but as a parent, you can provide seed money, but make it a loan. Like, have them present to you how much the startup cost will be if they're old enough to research it. Help them come up with a budget, encourage record keeping, help them come up with how much it should cost, and help them find ways that, or how much they should sell their product for, and then help them find avenues to sell it.
You said provide that seed money, make them sign a promissory note.
Yeah.
This means you promise to pay me back. All right?
Off top.
Now, you may forgive the loan, but make them pay it back. Make them pay it back. It's called character building, people. It's not going to kill them, all right?
And then this also teaches them what cost of goods sold is and profit margin. And so if they spent $500 on supplies and they made $1,000, their profit is not $1,000. Right. Their profit is $500, and they need to know that.
Right. And they'll also get accustomed to paying themselves last. I tell in one of our earliest episodes, I shared with the people, I said, look, if you're not willing to eat last, don't start a business. You got to eat, especially if you got employees. You the last one to get a paycheck. So yeah, man, that's what it's all about right there. So as we recap these today's episode, we just want to encourage you guys to again start teach. Well, you know what, you're already teaching your kids, but money habits, whether you know it or not, good or for bad. But we want to encourage you to teach them good money habits. You know, build those financial habits early. Prepare wisely for the future, things like college. Just setting good financial foundations, and you know, including the kids in the money talks, and not just the kids, the whole families. You know, at family reunion, why don't you have a breakout session? Let's talk about the money. You know, we got to normalize these conversations if we want having good money to become normal.
Which we did at our Lynch family reunion.
And also, don't shy away from teaching your kids and encouraging your kids to start a business, even if that's not your thing. It may be there. So that's what I want to add as far as the recap
and
goes.
they can get them out their pockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this week, I want to encourage you all to pick one money conversation or habit that you can have with your child or share with your child.
Yeah.
And let us know what it is. Find us on social media. Let us know what it is.
All right, guys. We want you to be sure to share this episode with another parent and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already.
Yes.
So for those that are listening on a radio station right now, Just remember, you will be able to find this in all your favorite places where you listen to your podcast after it airs on the radio.
Yep. And if you want to find us on YouTube, we're at Elevate Now Podcast.
All right, y'all, we're going to get out your way. We'll see you again this same time next week. Remember, it's time to elevate.
See you later.